Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, January 11th, 2021. We'll start with the acceptance of the minutes for the meeting of December 14th, 2020.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Biggins, you weren't here, so the rest of us will.
Thank you. Yeah, right. I did abstain. Thank you.
So Emily was the second, all the rest of us in favor?
Aye.
All right, that is a vote. Thank you. We'll move on to the superintendent's report with Dr. Cron, please.
Thank you. A few brief things. First of all, a very good return to school this week following the holiday break.
I work probably
The enthusiasm
like 6 or
from
7 of us that do
students and teachers has been excellent, and the attendance has been very good as well. So thank you. And next, like to just point out that the COVID rates are fairly low in the district right now. We have out of 2,237 students, we have, staff students, we have 12 positive cases. And out of 482 staff, we have 5 positive cases. So for staff, we're at a 1% positivity rate. And for students, we're at a 0.5 positivity rate, which is quite good. Finally, but I would like to take this opportunity to remind all faculty, staff, students, and families about safety protocols. If anyone in your family, even if you are feeling fine, you are a student and you are feeling fine, but someone in your family is exhibiting any kind of symptoms of a cold or an illness, even a runny nose, do not come to school. Okay, people need to understand this. You may feel fine, but if someone in your household is beginning to feel ill, we need you to stay home as well, and we need to get your family member tested. This is not happening all of the time. It's happening most of the time, as you can see from our low positivity rates, but it is not happening all of the time. So it's very important that people understand that. You can feel fine, but if someone in your family is not feeling well, we need you to stay home. We need you to call your school nurse and describe to them what is going on. We have added some tools that I will tell you about a little later in the meeting that will help expedite all of this. We have some testing now available to us that we did not have recently. Also, do not come to school if anyone in your household has been identified as a close contact. So if your mother or father or a child in the family has been identified as a close contact, you also must stay home from school. Again, anytime you have a question about that, just call your nurse, call the school, and talk through it so that there's no confusion. And then if you have traveled out of state and have yet to be tested, again, please do not come to school. So just a basic reminder to everyone as we're experiencing what it's not quite the peak we experienced after Thanksgiving, but we're asking that everyone continue to be vigilant and just keep those few things in mind. Finally, just a few updates on the Mcas exam. The Department of Education has made a few announcements. We are still awaiting more information from them, but at this point, the Department of Education will now allow the class of 2021 to receive their competency determination by passing an approved course in the subject area. So if they don't get to take the ELA exam, but they pass what they are calling an approved course, which again, at this time, I have to assume means it's in our high school program of studies. The reason I say assume is because we are being updated on information from the department on a pretty daily basis. And then it has been a little bit confusing, some of the information that they've come out with, but they are making some accommodations for the corona. The January MCAS has been canceled, but seniors who who want to take a makeup test because they may want to qualify for scholarship. That would be the only reason they'd probably want to take a makeup test if they're a senior. But they are going to be making arrangements for you to take them later in the school year. So for seniors, please be aware of that. At the high school level, the 10th and 11th grade testing times are at this point will remain the same, and ELA and math will take the MCAS in May. The biology MCAS for 9th graders will be offered in June. Not to make things more confusing than they need to be, but the test that they're going to be offering in June is the legacy MCAS test. Even though we have been preparing for the new test, they have decided to offer the legacy test this spring. Evidently, it is an easier test. They want as many people to pass as possible. But again, to some of us out here, it doesn't make sense because we made huge curricular shifts for this new exam, but now they're going to be offering the legacy MCAS. So we are following this on a regular basis. I hear Mr. Mills making noises in the background. Grades 3 through 8. So
I
these are
am too.
some of the most substantial changes. Grades 3 through 8. There will be a reduction in the amount of testing time, and they plan to use what they are calling a sampling approach, where each student will take a portion of each assessed subject. So the purpose of this is to diagnose. They're primarily focusing on diagnosing where kids are so that we can get them on grade level or move them ahead. But they are planning to make some changes to the grades 3 through 8 MCAS testing. There will also be some changes to access testing for English language learners. They have extended the testing window from February until May 20th of 21. And the MCAS alternative exam, the submission date has been extended from April 1st to May 5th. And then the final point that the department has announced to this point is that they will not be assigning schools an accountability rating this year. So underperforming or chronically underperforming schools will not be recognized this year. That is one thing that they have said. But again, if you read the guidance from DESE, it repeatedly says more guidance is to come. So we are following this closely. What are we doing in the Rockland Public Schools? What we are doing is we are looking at the power standards, the standards by which our students are judged, and we are looking at how our kids are doing, and we are beginning to plan for next year to decide what will be the power standards, what do our students need, where are they lacking, where are the gaps, and where are we going to focus next year. I anticipate the Department of Education will come out with their own set of power standards, but rather than wait around for that to come, we are doing that ourselves. I will tell you that our big focus this year and next year will be focusing on kindergarten to 2nd grade reading support. It is extremely important that our students are reading by the end of 1st grade, if not 2nd grade. And so we are hyper focused on what we need to do in kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade to support our students with their need to be able to read at that by the end of 1st grade. So that's just a little update. There are some things coming out of the Department of Education in dribs and drabs, and I want to try to keep you all updated on that. But that's what's going on with MCAS, and that's all I have for superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Cron. Mr. Biggins raised his hand.
I have of course I have a question on that. So Dr. Cron, so with MCAS and all this testing and stuff like that, you think they might change anything else from now on ahead after they start going with this?
There's a huge push, Tom, huge push to cancel the MCAS this year.
Yep.
There's a huge push to do away with accountability ratings for this year. That's coming from the Massachusetts Superintendents Association, and from other groups as well. I will say the Department of Education in Massachusetts does not have the unilateral authority to waive the MCAS exam.
Right.
There is a federal attachment. They take federal funds, and it is part of the No Child Left Behind Act that every student is tested. So the state can't unilaterally decide one day, well, yeah, we're having a bad year, we're not going to test. They need permission from the federal government.
Okay.
So I do anticipate more changes.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, that call from Rockland.
Okay, Mr. Biggins, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so my commentary and sort of criticism isn't of us as a district at all, or of even this year and how it falls with COVID. But my problem with standardized testing, and I'm not an anti-standardized testing guy, I understand very much that it's important for trackable data for not only our district, but the state to look at every district and see how everyone's progressing and have accountability for districts. But I just don't understand how you have trackable data when you change the test every year, every 2 years. I mean, how do we look back at how we are progressing? How do we look back at the way that other districts that how are we comparing to other districts and other years? They change the test every single year, every couple of years. And I just don't understand if the point of standardized testing is to provide trackable data for districts in the state. How does that work when the test is different every year?
It's in the questions.
Yeah, I completely agree, Dan. When we missed out on MCAS last year, we basically lost our ability to track our data year to year to year to year. But you're right, when we went through the whole fiasco with the PARC exam and then MCAS 2.0 and back and forth, and some people did PARC and some people did MCAS 2.0, you're absolutely right. We need to pick a test and stick with it, and we need 5, 6, 7 years of data to begin to show trends. But I will tell you that as a district, we are not depending on that. We are using our own data so that we know where our students are and where we need to improve. But I completely agree with what you're saying. How do you track something when it changes year to year?
Right, and it's not a judgment or criticism of anything our district is doing, but more so it behooves me what really the point is. I mean, if we're told that the point of it is trackable data, we're not having trackable data, and the only ones winning in any of this is the testing companies making money hand over fist.
It's true, and I think they want to make sure that schools are finding out where kids are today. Where are the gaps that have been caused by this pandemic? What work do we need to do to fill those gaps and get kids on grade level? So I understand what they're saying, but the fact is they can't do that from an exam that's 30,000 feet. We can do that on the local level. And that's what they need to trust us to do, is to know our kids and test our kids, give us a test that we can use year to year to year to year and build our curriculum around. Then we can have a steady bar from which we're measuring our progress.
Yeah, but that's been going on for the last 15 years.
Yeah, long before COVID. Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, thank you, Ron. Appreciate getting. I just wanted to throw 2 cents in there real quick.
I just wanted to back up to your COVID part of the report where you said the numbers were down or low for us right now. And I just wanted to say, I know we bounced back into fully remote before Christmas because our numbers were so high, and currently our numbers are down low. And as long as our numbers are down low, then we'll stay at least in hybrid mode, getting kids in every other week. If the numbers start to creep up again, just like they have before Christmas, then we're going to be forced again to hold our hand up and go fully remote.
what is the plateau numbers there? You know, what keeps us down low? What's high? What's low?
Well,
Go ahead, Alan.
no, I was just going to say the numbers in town are not necessarily super low right now.
Right.
But the numbers within the school department are. So let me see here. So
Yeah.
for example, we know, I'm trying to find my, oh no, wrong one.
Have it up, Alan.
A rough estimate.
I'm trying to find my document. I think I put it away.
Dr. Cron, if I could just give an example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Today, I received a report for us to check 36 families. It's 36 cases that had been reported in Rockland. None of them had any relationship to the school.
Okay.
All right, that's what we're talking about. We used to receive 1 or 2, things to check a day. We're now receiving, 30 to 40. And the percentage of us having an involvement in those cases is either staying the same or going down. Whereas when we were between Thanksgiving and Christmas, the town's numbers were going up and our numbers were going up. The town's numbers are going up, ours are staying stagnant.
Okay. How about teachers? How about staff overall?
Same, we're at 1% of staff is positive.
Okay.
So Tom, out of 482 staff members, currently we have 5 out who are positive.
Yeah. What's the threshold there?
What do you mean threshold? When would we say?
Yeah. Stop. Yeah.
It's a school by school, case by case basis, Tom.
Okay.
Well, for example, on Monday when we opened, Beth Bond was running around like crazy trying to cover classes because the middle school had a number of teachers out, but they also happened to have a funeral at the same time that they needed staff to be
Okay.
there. So it's a day-to-day, case-by-case
Okay.
basis. Obviously, if we see a cluster, like at a grade level or in a school, that's
Right.
going to affect our thinking. For example, earlier in the year when we closed down the high school for 2 weeks, that was because we had a cluster in the sophomore class. But we're not seeing that here.
Right.
Again, I think our custodians are doing an amazing job keeping our buildings clean. I think people are doing a great job staying home when they're sick.
Yeah.
So that's why I think our case numbers are staying low.
All right.
And also we have a new tool in our toolbox, and I don't want to spoil the report that's going to come up later. But Jane Hackett is a superstar and has set our district up with a testing program that is helping us tremendously. And I'll tell you more about that a little later in this
Okay.
meeting.
Good. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Cron, Jane, and Tom Mills. Mr. Biggins has his hand up.
If I could
Oh,
just,
go ahead,
just
Jane.
check. I just like to say that, anyone who sees Delshon Flip, that this woman is working 24 hours a day, nonstop. So I just want to let you know how hard she's working on our behalf. And we talk 3 or 4 times a day, and she's doing absolutely everything in her power to support the schools and to keep the people of Rockland safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Dolly. Mr. Biggins?
Yeah, not so much a question, but a comment. The results really are sort of right in front of us. We're watching, the numbers spike around town, watching numbers spike around the South Shore, and they're not spiking compensatorily within Rockland Public Schools. So we're doing something right. You guys are doing something right. Alan, you made the comment, the janitors and what they're doing as far as keeping the building clean. But it seems as that, with the 1% level of staff that has this, we're really doing a good job of keeping this under control within our own buildings and within what we can control. Seem to be doing a really, really great job. And I just really wanted to comment on that.
Yeah.
Everyone was really afraid and anxious about going back to school and going back into live learning. And I think that here in our own little community, we've proven that this is not a dangerous thing, being in live learning. We're in the way that we're doing it anyway, with the measures in which we've taken. We're doing it safely, we're doing it well, and the numbers prove it. And, 3 kids that are in the school system, I can tell you that I feel really, really comfortable and really safe with them going to school every day. And, thank you for all your efforts to doing that. And, lastly, it's not just those on the payroll of Rockland Public Schools, but Rockland students too.
Right.
These kids are in school all day long wearing masks. They're playing sports with masks on. They're doing home learning. They're doing in-person learning. And, the kids really need to be from, K to 12, really giving a pat on the back for the way that they're responding to this. I, for one, when I was their age, I don't think I would have responded as well. So Rockland kids should be proud.
I think the families needed some credit on that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the families that are done a great job with the kids.
I agree with both Mr. Biggins and Mr. Mills. I think that I only have one student in the Rockland Public Schools, and I think having them in the week on, week off makes a big difference. They're home to decompress and sort of get their game back on remotely, and then they go back in. It gives us also the chance to clean the schools and things like that before they're all exposed every other day. And I know that my daughter prefers to be in person. So when she does get to go, like last week, she was really happy. They want to be in there. They want to see their friends. They want to learn in person. So it's their resilience and their flexibility that is shining, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone else before we move on? Okay, moving on, nothing under audience. We'll go to reports. We have monthly reports for December. Administrators, Dr. Harrison, Miss Bond, Miss Smith, Mrs. Shifley, guidance, Miss Black, the nurse, Mrs. Ryan, and pupil personnel services with Dr. Manigula. I wanted to just say thank you to these people. They have been busy doing everything else, and then to take 5 minutes out of their day or longer even, putting this information together for us to review. I appreciate everything that they're doing for us. It really is taking their everyday skill just to get through COVID, never mind all the other hats they're trying to juggle.
How many reports we have? Like 8, whatever it is, number of motions, all of monthly reports,
4 motions.
8, for 6 motions, 7 motions, whatever they are. All of them, motion to accept all the monthly reports.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in
Second,
favor?
all the motions.
Ta-da. Moving it right along.
All right, that's all of us. School newsletters for Eston, Jefferson Memorial Park, the middle school and the high school. Any comments on the newsletters?
Oh yeah, Eston School's pictures are great.
Aren't they?
I love the kids' pictures. They're good. The rest of them are great too. Oh, I have a question. I need help.
Okay, we
Okay.
knew that, Tom.
All right. My wife says that to me every morning. Oh, boy,
Live on
you need help
TV.
this morning. All right, I gotta go to the Jefferson Journal. Happy New Year. There's a snowman in a tree and it equals 10. I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh, that's not on me. Dr. Cron?
I'll get back to you on that, Mr. Mills.
I'm looking at, there is the snowman 8 plus 2 or 3. No, that's not the right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I'll come back with it. I'll work on it. I'll stay up all night doing this homework.
There's your homework, and it'll be checked at the next meeting.
All right. I give my wife to do it.
That's nice.
All right.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the newsletters?
No, they were good. They look good.
Okay. Old business, we have COVID testing. Is that Jane, Ms. Hackett?
Yeah, I'm just going to say a couple words about it, and then I'm going to turn this over to Jane, who made all of this happen. But we have entered into an agreement with the South Shore Hospital and Broad Laboratories of Cambridge to provide daily on-site PCR COVID testing to Rockland students and staff and to qualified family members. So our hope by offering on-site COVID testing is to substantially reduce the amount of time students and staff are out of school due to quarantine by testing quickly and getting results back within 24 hours. In fact, most of our test results have been coming back in 12 hours. We have been allotted up to 35 tests per day, but we may request additional tests should a special circumstance arise. For example, if there was some outbreak with a basketball team or a hockey team or something like that, they've agreed that they will support us. Who will we test? We will test anyone who develops symptoms while in school, teachers or students. We will test staff and their family members who have been identified as close contacts. And we will also test under special circumstances as they present themselves, but that needs to be approved by the head nurse and by Jane Hackett. Very important, again, a reminder, if you're symptomatic, do not come to school, please. Rather contact your doctor or contact your school nurse and we will give you guidance, but do not come to school if you're not feeling well. Just in the outside chance that you are positive, we don't want you to spread it, and we know you don't want to spread it. When are we testing? We are testing Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. by appointment only. Appointments are being made through your building nurse. And again, results are coming back within 12 to 24 hours. All testing is taking place at the West Main Street entrance of Rogers Middle School. And who will be doing our testing? It will be done by Kathy Ryan, our head nurse, and by Floor Pang, Rogers Middle School nurse. They will be conducting the testing. We are also training backup testers just as a precaution. How much does the testing cost? It's costing us $50 per test, but the district is absorbing this cost. From a procedural standpoint, being able to test this way is a game changer for us. I'm going to turn this over to Jane and let her talk a little bit more about it. But this is a result of relationships that Jane has with people at South Shore Hospital. And I'm very grateful that she has set this up for us. And since we have set it up, other districts in our area have jumped on board and are doing the same thing. So Jane, did you want to add anything about this?
No, I think Dr. Lanuti is the woman that we're working with. Thank you for your kind words, but it's been a lot of collaboration with a lot of folks. And I think Dr. Cron hit it all. What we're trying to do is we're trying to minimize the number of people. We're trying to keep our staff and students safe, of course. And then we're trying to keep our staff and students in school. And how do we do that is we minimize how many people are identified as close contacts. How do we do that? We test earlier. And maybe we test the same person multiple times. All right. So if someone is, gets a phone call, the teacher gets a phone call while they're at school that says you're an identified close contact, we test them as they leave. It's too early to test them to determine whether or not they're ever going to develop COVID, but it is not too early to detect whether or not they are positive on that day. So we test them on that day. We establish that they're negative. Even, terribly, if 5 days later they become positive, we can prove that there are no close contacts in the school. So their entire classroom, we don't have to do anything with.
Okay.
Okay, it's really minimizing that. I keep talking about a solar system, an ever expanding solar system, whether it's an outbreak or what have you. We're trying to nip things in the bud as best we can to keep everyone as safe as possible. We have, since we put together the packet for the school committee with this information, we have expanded the testing. We are portable, and we had some activity this weekend where we felt it warranted testing over the weekend. So we dispatched someone to go to some houses this weekend and do some testing over the weekend. And that, again, resulted in folks coming back negative, which prevented people from being identified as close contacts.
Okay, so this, I just wanted to ask this or say, this isn't for people that are home and feeling it, they're going to go into the school to be tested. This is just for kids and faculty, all of you inside of the school at the moment, to be tested and then go home, correct?
I'm not ruling anything in or anything out. If something is going to help someone stay safe or help someone stay in school or help someone minimize their close contacts, we're going to consider it within the parameters of 35 case limit a day, barring an extraordinary event. We want to do the right thing for as many as possible, but we are not becoming a surveillance testing site for the town of Rockland.
Right, and that's what I wanted to make sure, that people
Yes,
knew that
no,
this was controlled
correct.
environment. we only have 35 a day, and hopefully it's just the people that are in the school, not necessarily the town. Okay,
This is, I could make a whole bunch of tool analogies that I would, mistake, but this is a tool that we can use offensively. It's a tool we can use defensively. It is a strategic tool that we can apply in each particular situation to create better outcomes for safety for students and staff. I really believe that this is a tool that we have been missing. It has been frustrating not being able to get folks tested sooner and eliminate the establishment of close contacts when the disease evolves on the 6th day. That doesn't mean necessarily that everyone that they were in contact with on the first day needs to be quarantined. So if we're testing them on day 2, no one needs to be quarantined when they test positive on day 5 because they're home on day 5.
right.
Okay.
Jane, the expert, the true COVID expert that she has become, the poor
It
thing.
is that and one other item Dr. Cron never mentioned during my interview process.
Right. You could have only predicted you would have run for the hills, I'm sure. We're happy you haven't yet.
That's
Mr.
an
Biggins
ad-
had his hand up politely. Mr. Biggins?
There was an ad hoc for you.
Thank you for the politely.
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Start again.
This is awesome. I mean, I think much more needed. Oh, can you hear me? Really needed. I think it's not only needed in our community, but really every community. Part of the biggest challenge, in my opinion, with COVID right now is the fact that testing is not really easily available. Maybe through primary care, sometimes you can get an appointment. Otherwise, families may be waiting in line a couple hours. They may be waiting for an appointment. It's really difficult sometimes to get an appointment. So it's great that it's going to be available within our schools. However, I do have one sort of concern that I wonder if might develop, and that is the idea that students are only going to be able to be tested if they develop symptoms in school. So what I'm worried about is that while we're asking kids to stay home if they don't feel good, if they have a cough, if they have a sniffle, we're asking them to stay home. But is there not the risk that with the aforementioned difficulty in getting tests, that if I'm a parent and I don't really want to wait in 4-hour line out there in January with my kid, and I want a quick, easy answer, that maybe I'll send him right off to school with the symptoms he already has, to make sure that he can get a quick COVID test, as the model is.
That is exactly the number one concern that we have. It's why we're reiterating the importance of staying home if you're sick. I really thank you for the question. And again, we're evolving sort of since we wrote this for your packet, how we are applying it. And I'll tell you, there were kiddos today people who called in who couldn't get a test that were scheduled to test. All right, we will, if someone can't get a test and needs a test, we're going to test them. If they're within our school community, they don't need to come home. They don't need to come in and be symptomatic for us to test them.
So that makes sense. So my other question is, if let's say someone is asymptomatic, but an educator or faculty or staff or nurse may become aware that a family has traveled, that a family's gone on vacation, out of state, they've traveled on a plane, and it's not been made aware to the school by the parents, but maybe the child has come into school and began to talk about it. And if we've got a kid that's traveled off to California for a week and now has come back, although he may not be symptomatic in school, will that be tested? And my part B part of the question is, and it's actually a second question, not a part B, is that if a child should develop symptoms in school, I would hope that his parents would be notified prior to any testing being done to them.
Yeah. My apologies, Mr. Biggins, we should have said that at the outset. All children testing require parental consent.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry on that omission. And as far as travel, that situation has arisen. We're handling it on a case-by-case basis, generally with the phone call home to ascertain what the situation is or is not in going forward. What we've learned over and over again every day is that each and every situation that presents itself is unique. Yeah, and needs to be handled uniquely. And that's the beauty of this tool, that we have the control, you know what I mean, to be able to apply the best practices. And we have Dr. Lanuti at our disposal to help us differentiate when, you know, and if it is appropriate.
Makes sense. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. That was an important question.
And to the public, this is a judgment-free zone. Our purpose here is
Correct.
to keep people safe, to identify cases and keep everyone safe so that schools can stay open. So I can't stress that enough to the public. This is a judgment-free zone. Call us, talk us through what's going on, and we will help as best we can. But we now have this amazing tool at our disposal. I don't know about each of you, but I've driven past many a facility with lines down the street and around the corner of people waiting to be tested.
Yeah.
And they don't have to do that here. We make an appointment for you. You come in 5 minutes later, you're out the door, and in 12 hours you have your answer. And it's a PCR test, not a rapid. So it's the real deal. So it's a really great thing for the Rockland Public Schools.
Good, good.
Thanks for saying that, Dr. Cron. Go ahead, Mrs. Davidson.
Can this cost be absorbed by the CARES Act or reimbursed eventually?
Yes.
That's great.
It is great.
Hmm.
And I agree with the, that this is a judgment-free zone. I think there's a lot of sort of peer pressure out there. Oh, you have it, or you have it, or you are close contact, or this or that. And I think that we're all sort of just trying to go through this on, you know, as a team together, that there's no judging, that we're all, you know, we all go to the grocery store, we all go to the gas station and things like that, that it's just simple enough. It's just doing our best we can.
Get through it as a community.
Right.
There you go, right. Okay, any other questions before we move on? Statements, comments, okay. Go on to the CARES Act update. Is this back to you, Jane?
Sure. The CARES Act is one of the most complicated things in the years. So let me try to just verbally explain it without a spreadsheet. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So basically, there are two separate pools of money. All right. And they both interchangeably use the word CARES Act. All right. The first came out in the very beginning. The first federal relief came out in about May. And it was distributed in accordance with the Title I formula. All right. Title I is our grant formula, our main grant formula. And we received $285,000 through that grant. A portion of that had to go to the Calvary School by law. All right. So that money we were allowed to use in FY20 or FY21, all right, or FY22. It's a 3-year grant. We can draw down on that money for 3 times. That money was administered, it went from the federal government to DESE to the Rockland Public Schools directly. It did not stop at Town Hall. All right, came directly to us. This is Tom with the thumbs up. The second pool of money, all right, came through what really was the CARES Act. Okay, the COVID Relief Fund, CRFV. Okay, and that money was supposed to go to the state for distribution, really to the general government, all right, and schools, but through town halls. Plymouth County took their portion of the money. All right, so the CARES Act money is technically being, for Rockland, is being administered through Plymouth County. We received the town, I'm going to misspeak, I don't want to do numbers wrong, especially since I'm the business administrator, but the town received X amount of money. Of that, we received 70%. All right, well, the town didn't receive it. Plymouth County allocated X amount to the town of Rockland. The town of Rockland allocated 70% of the total amount available to us. That came out to $1.8 million. All So we had $1.8 million of CARES Act money that was set to expire on December 30th of this year. Why the 30th and not the 31st? Nobody knows. But it was through December 30th. What happened 2 or 3 weeks ago with the next federal act affected both of those pools of money. All right. First, the Plymouth County money, it extended the amount of time we have to expend that money from December 30th of 2020 to December 30th of 21. So we have an additional year to spend that money. However, we didn't get any more money. So that amount of money is really just about gone with Plymouth County. And we're working back and forth with the town on how much is actually still available or not. We have to go through a whole audit process, et cetera. But that, because that had that expiration date of December 30th, that has been our first source of revenue of relief revenue that we've used. And it's been that pool of money that we've been using to pay all of our temporary remote teaching positions. It's that pool of money that we've been using for our bus monitors. It's that pool of money that we've used to purchase our PPE. It's that pool of money that we're paying for the testing. It's that pool of money that we're using for the CNAs. Anything COVID related that was not originally budgeted in March of 20, that money can be used for. All right. So, but we've just about expended it and it's just about gone. And we don't see any more coming. You may hear that Plymouth County has $45 million that they haven't released. I don't see that is the case. All right. And I think we're very grateful. I know there was a lot of concern about this money going to Plymouth County in the beginning. I can tell you from my colleagues who are dealing directly with the state and not with Plymouth County, it is much easier working directly with Plymouth County and with Town Hall than it is dealing with the state with this money. So we've been really blessed. I've had a great relationship with Biz on working with this. Ira Cola and Joan Walsh have just been simply phenomenal, as has Mark Schaum and Tim Wells and Lisa Ryan and Colleen Filizzi in identifying, because this fund also paid for all of our remote curriculum that Colleen developed in conjunction with the principals. They've just been phenomenal in documenting what has been COVID expenses and in using every single cent available to us through this money. We were one of the highest percentage users of the COVID relief fund through Plymouth County of all of Plymouth County. And it's really a testament to Colleen and Joan and Ira and Tim and Mark Schaum and the nurses. So, so that's that pool of money. So really, I'd say we have, Biz and I are in some negotiations on how much money there is left available. So I don't want to tip any hands there. As far as the left-hand side, the other side, which is the ESSR, which came in at the 285,000, that went directly to DESE and then to us and did not stop at Town Hall. The money, the relief that was passed at the end of December also affected this. We're told to expect 3 times that amount of money to become available to us. And that money is going to be available to us for FY21, FY22, and FY23. Okay. And what we really want to hold tight onto this money, because, as Dr. Crown was mentioning earlier, that we're identifying gaps. And filling gaps is never cheap. And we're going to have tremendous student needs. We already know we have tremendous student needs, and we want to have this money in reserve to address those needs and to address any training that the teachers need, any professional development, et cetera, that the teachers need in order to meet these needs. So again, it is approximately anywhere from let's call it $600,000 that we may be getting. That's new money that's available to use over 3 years, and we're close to exhausting what we had available through Plymouth County. But it's good news. I am not hearing that we're going to receive anything new, that anything that comes in once the new administration takes place at the federal level is going to be more general government and public safety in senior related, that they did the schools first. That's what we're hearing sort of. So this could be the end of what we see for a period of time. So we want to be very, very careful in expending this. Because I believe FY22 is going to be an exceptionally difficult budget year. Very similar to 2007 in 2003. So I'm not looking forward to FY22, and we need to be prepared for it. So that's it. That's all I have.
Well, that went downhill. It was all this momentum with all this money, and then it went to, it's going to be bad at 22.
That's what I do.
I didn't know how to come from that.
Buckle up, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yep. But,
Anyone have any questions or comments? I think that Jane did well explaining it to us in layman's terms, so I appreciate that. I always love how you break things down and put it right out there for me to understand. Thank you so much.
especially with money.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
If I don't
Good
understand,
job.
she certainly has no problem making sure I do. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And her all the
Thank you.
hard work, COVID and the money.
I'm out front on a lot of stuff, but let me tell you, there are a lot of people behind the scenes who are working their tails off.
Yeah.
Our nurses are working, they're working 20 hours a day too. And I mean that. I mean, at days, there are times where I'm on the phone at 5:30 in the morning with an elementary school nurse.
Yeah.
And there are times at 11 o'clock at night, I'm on the phone with the middle school nurse. I'm on the phone with Mark Shawm, Tim Wells, the principals. Everybody's working hard. It's a tremendous team. And the central office staff keeping everything running while we're off doing all these other things is just tremendous.
And smiling. Anyone you see, anytime you on any of these meetings or I'm running into the super's office, everyone is always smiling. They're always happy and keep going forward. And we are, every time I have a public service announcement, I feel like we're just thanking everyone. We can't thank them enough. There's no words to thank them enough. No candy bars, no pizza, no nothing to thank them enough. But we are truly blessed that that's the team we have behind us.
Right, but that's a rock. I think that's a Rockland tradition, attribute. I mean, people in Rockland just go at it. Yeah, I've always noticed that. That's just my opinion.
They have some grit.
Yeah.
Well, we're blessed to have them.
Yes.
Anything else? Any other questions? Nope. Okay. We'll move on to new business, request for approval of Rockland High School graduation date. Dr. Harrison has it as of June 4th, 2021 would be the official date of graduation.
So I think it should be June 6th, D-Day for diploma day. No, never mind.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving to acceptance of the North River Collaborative Fiscal Year 2020 Annual Report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. And that's all of us. We'll go on to public service announcements. We'll start with Mrs. Davidson. She's in my lower left, but ladies first.
Okay.
Hi, I would just like to say, Jane, thank you. I know it must have taken a lot of work to get the testing on site. It's a big accomplishment. Also, I know your team is working very hard, and especially the nurses, like we just mentioned. I'm sure they're working around the clock, and they're the ones that are going to be administrating the tests. So thank you and stay safe. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs.
you.
Hennessy?
I just wanted to say Happy New Year, and I'm glad that the return to school has gone so well in this first week, and hopefully everyone continues to stay safe and call your nurse, as everyone has already said, if any particular situations are coming up. And again, thank you to Jane and the staff of our school system.
Thank you. Mr. Mills?
just thank everybody that's, that's worked so hard getting this stuff done and keeping our kids safe and getting them educated and everything else. This has been a tough year and, but it's moving along and hear all good things. So, we just have to keep at it and keep going and work at it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. I didn't know when to chime in.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you. Okay.
I'd be pressed
Go
not to agree with everything everyone else has already said, but I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge Jerry DeMeo, bus driver for Rockland Public Schools for 37 years, served this district and its students very, very well in a lot of different roles over almost 4 decades. And I'd also like to thank the town of Rockland in remembering her and celebrating her life. We're in a time and day where we're not able to have wakes or funerals like all of us deserve. And we weren't able to do that for Mr. DeMeo, but Mrs. DeMeo, but the town of Rockland came out to support her in a very unique and very important way. And thank you for Rockland being Rockland. Rockland's an awesome place, no matter what the situation is. And if, someone's in a hard place, we all come out to our front lawns and we support them. And that's what we did right here. So thank you to the town of Rockland. Thank you, Jerry, for all you did. And God bless Rockland. And given everything else that's going on in the world today, God bless America. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. I had nothing as special as that. I was just going to say that Monday is Martin Luther King Day, January 18th, so there's no school. And also the next following Monday, January 25th, is a PD day. So there is no school that Monday either. So the following 2 Mondays after today, there is no school, in case families didn't know that.
Okay.
That was coming ahead of us. All right. That's all I have.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those
Third.
in favor?
Fourth.
Aye.
What a fifth.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a
Good
good
night,
night.
Rocklin.
Have a good
Night.
night. Have a good weekend.